back with another reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to some NBA Today. Jonathan Kuminga has finally demanding a trade from the Warriors. The Warriors have been wasting him, and he really hasn't been getting any minutes. Excuse me. I don't know why that was so hard. Let's go ahead and look at some stats real quick. I do have some stats pulled up here. This year, he's averaging 12 a game. He only played 18 games. 12 a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 43 from the field, 23 from 3. 32, excuse me, from 3. 74 from the free throw. A lot of this is very skewed because he hasn't been playing a lot of minutes. They really haven't been using him when he is someone who is usable. He is a very athletic guy. He's 6'7". He can score the basketball. He can play the position of power forward and small forward, and he wants to defend. Why is he not out there? The Warriors always come to a point this season, and actually since they lost Clay and Jordan Poole, where they're just lacking offensively. So you have to have Steph Curry or Jimmy Butler, or both of them, like to have crazy scoring nights just for them to be competitive. You cannot rely on Draymond offensively. You cannot rely on there's that other player that they got rid of. Well, they're trying to transition to replace Clay. Anyway, they are always missing offensive scoring. Jonathan Kuminga can provide that for them. He has provided that for them, and he would have continued to provide that for them. He's only 23 years old. He was only going to get better. And as you watched him play, and as he continued to play, he got better. But then you slowed up everything for some reason. We don't know what's going on. If there's some beef going on in the background, is it he's just not getting paid? Blah, blah, blah. What's going on here? So, that being said, it looks like he's out. He is getting out of there as soon as possible. I do not blame him. I believe he should have been gone way before that, but he has became eligible yesterday. So hopefully, he does go somewhere where he is valued. There's a couple places he can land. He has, again, a lot of upside and not much downside. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and get started with the video.
Coach's decision, DNPs. The situation has been brewing for what seems to be years with Jonathan Kuminga. Shams, what can you tell us about who's interested in acquiring him?
MJ, there have been multiple teams that have been kind of canvassing. What is the Jonathan Kuminga market? What can we get? What can we give potentially the Warriors that would allow him to come here? Dallas and Sacramento have been at the top of the list so far for Jonathan Kuminga. Mutual interest with them. There are multiple other teams looking at it, but those are the two teams really over the last couple weeks that have been at the forefront of this. But again, it's what can the Warriors get out of it that will allow them to continue to let Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green contend. Bobby Mark said it earlier on the show. It's like, is there some front court player that they can go find, they can plug in there that can help them? The one positive that the Warriors do have is this is a trade-friendly, team-friendly contract that Jonathan Kuminga is on. $22.5 million this season, and then he's got a team option for next year. Teams do have interest getting that team option year. Then you can kind of dictate and determine what you want to do from there.
Yeah.
So the Warriors, this makes sense for everybody involved. I feel like it should have been a play a while ago, especially when his stock was high. Will he? What am I looking for here? Sacramento and Dallas are not a bad place for him to end up at. Unfortunately, he will not be a contender until the following year. So I believe he can be a contender and a piece that helps the team win now. I want to say the Lakers, but we already have a couple slashers like him. The Rui Hachimuras of the world. LeBron, to a certain extent, has that same sort of play style. Obviously more of a pass first, but can still do that back cut, that lob roll, that get to the basket roll quite well. So I don't think we really need that. It would be helpful, of course, but I believe it would be better for him to go somewhere else. Um, I don't think that they can make this work, but I think there could be a possibility with an Anthony Davis and some stuff for like Jonathan Kuminga and some stuff for AD. He is injured right now, which would suck for the Warriors, but I think down the line he would be very, very helpful if they can get something along with AD. And maybe a fucking Klay Thompson reunion. Who fucking knows? But they are needing some sort of offensive help. They could use a quality big who could help Draymond on the defensive end, and just be another scoring guy for them. Sacramento, I feel like that they have a few pieces over there that they could try to take and steal and use. I do think Zach LaVine is still there, right? He's a player that does sort of play that Warriors offense, but also has some athleticism behind him. Will that work? We don't know, but there's some options for them there for those two teams. Who will be willing to? What are people willing to give up for Jonathan Kuminga is the question now at this point.
Wheeling and dealing will begin. Speaking of those teams, let's get to our front office insider, Bobby Marks, who's over at the trade machine.
Well, Shams mentioned one of those teams.
Sorry, guys, I had to take a sip of water.
Kings. And remember, Golden State is a first apron team, which means that you are not allowed to take back more salary in any trade here. So where does Sacramento have? Remember, we talked about front court help. They do have guards. Malik Monk has certainly been mentioned, but he's got 2 more years left on his contract after the season. When we look at it, oh, here we go, with Monk and Kuminga, and then also a player like Keon Ellis, who's been talked about a lot. That trade actually works, but what does that do actually for Golden State here when you're getting 2 guards back? Certainly Ellis could help. Shams mentioned also the Dallas Mavericks. This is where it becomes complicated, where you're likely going to have to get a third team involved. You have that Kuminga salary, which is at $22.5 million. But look at the rest of the roster.
Just real quick. It's almost impossible for the Mavs to really get something worth that they really want to get rid of now that Anthony Davis is injured. We already knew he was an injury-prone player. You know, it sucks. That shit happens. Blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, this happened at the wrong time because there was a chance, you know, for a possible Gafford and someone else player because you do have a big already with AD. So there's some stuff that they could have done and could move. Unfortunately, he's just not healthy, and it's just hard to move someone who just is not healthy and can play. It's, you know, and especially when they had a chance to have someone crazy. Like, they had a chance. The Warriors could have taken the time to develop Kuminga. They're just choosing not to at this point. I don't know why. Interesting.
AD, Kyrie, I mean, certainly Daniel Gafford could help if you could, but he's making $14.4 million. How do you get the salary to match? This is a Mavericks team that's also a first apron team. They can't take back salary here. So it does become a little bit more challenging with the Mavericks here. But as we've said all along, it's likely going to take a third team to get involved. And also, what is going to be the asking price for Golden State to take back contracts long term?
Okay, Bobby doing all the hard work for us here. Perk, what do you think about that?
I don't like either one of them. I love Bobby, but not, because we're talking about Steph Curry, a guy that wants to win a championship. You need something that's going to actually move the needle. Michael Porter Jr., in my opinion, that's averaging about 25 points in Brooklyn, shooting a high percentage, won the NBA championship. Damn it, that moves the needle. Can that work, Bobby?
Wow.
We'll find a way to make it work.
It may be able to work. The problem is, will he be able to fall in line? I think that's what happened with the Nuggets. That's why they sort of are having issues. They're sort of reining it back in now, but he wasn't able to fall in line and be the volume shooter that he really wanted to be. The Warriors, they do get a lot of shots up, and this is basically picking up a Jordan Poole player, but at 6'10", 6'11", however tall he is. That'll add another person to shoot the ball. That'll add someone who can score the basketball. Like Perk said, he's averaging 20 something right now. I don't think he's going to bring that exact average over to the Warriors, but you could see him going to 15, 16 points a game, or you could see the opposite where Jimmy Butler and Draymond recognize that this nigga can shoot and can score the basketball. We're going to feed him and make him the second option. There could be a possibility of that working, especially since Jimmy Butler is someone who likes to pass the ball, who likes to get his team involved. If Jimmy Butler can turn into the third option offensively and they can be confident that Michael Porter Jr. can be a scorer and be that guy who can get you 20 to 30 a night, that's not a bad move. And I believe he's capable.
We can look at it here, but here's the thing that's interesting with when you look at Michael Porter Jr., who's got another year after this season here. His contract's at $38 million. Remember, they can't take back more salary. When you have Jonathan Kuminga, now we've got to start adding salary here. Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, like you keep now, it's not just Kuminga now it's a second player or a third player that to get to that $30 million number here. It's certainly doable, and as we've said, it's basically getting a third team involved, but it takes away some of your other players on your roster. But that, we talked about the timeline, right? That fits the timeline because he only has another year left after the season, and a player that's averaging 26 points and can give you some size in the front court.
Yeah, that's what I think. I agree with that. I don't think that was a bad option. I think the Warriors have lacked size and will continue to lack size until they make some moves. And you give someone who can shoot the ball and score and be at that size and play that 3 to 2 position. That'll give Steph Curry some breathing room, I don't want to say make more mistakes and get away with it, but basically, yeah, make some mistakes and not get punished. That's all basketball is, especially when you get to those high level teams, like the top teams, like the top 12 teams in the NBA. I'm talking East and West, not like specifically in like standing order. Like, a top 10 team in the league could possibly be the Warriors, like despite where they are in the standing as of currently, because you still got to factor, like the East, it's a difference. Like, there's a huge skill gap between, like, I want to say the top 6 teams in the East and then the rest in the East. Like, the rest of the teams, they're just fighting for whatever. You could slot some of those West teams who are sort of at the 7, 8, 9, 10 spot, and they could be good teams in the East and possibly make it to the playoffs. And the Warriors are such team. What they're missing and what they could use is someone who could score the basketball and help let Steph Curry miss some shots on nights where he's supposed to make those shots. For example, the Lakers, prior to us getting Luka, every single bucket mattered. Now, we all know that every single point matters at all times, but when you're not getting enough shots up, when you're taking hard shots, and they are shots that you have to make just for you to be competitive, when it was just LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves before he got his confidence, we were lacking shots. We were not making enough shots, and we were not taking enough shots. Now you have Luka in the mix, who will give you more shots just off of what he can create for himself. For example, just to put a number, we could probably look it up, but just to give myself and you guys an easy number, let's say before Luka, they were getting up 90 shots. That seems semi-reasonable, maybe under the average. Again, we could probably look this up, but it's not that big of a deal. Luka, out of those 90 shots, let's say, just for the sake of ease with the numbers, 50-50, they were off of Well, with the Lakers, I feel like it'd be like 70%, 30%, 70% off of passing and right time, right place buckets, second chance points, whatever. And 30% of that 70 of that 100% was off of creating for yourself, off of like LeBron trying to create for himself, off of Anthony Davis using some sort of post move. You know, of course, like these are rough numbers. I'm just saying shit. It's important that you have a lot of those other baskets, a lot of those you make the correct pass, or it was a back door, or it was a second chance bucket, or just like the ball happens to fall in your hand because the rebound was tipped by someone and then you get the basket. You can expect some of those in your game. The problem is, in today's NBA, you need to be able to create for yourself. 30% of creating for yourself in the modern NBA in the West is not enough. It shouldn't be that way, I don't think. And again, these are rough estimates. You should be understanding what I'm saying, but that shit nowadays, it's becoming a 50-50. Like, you got to be able to create for yourself and also play within a team. Also do the dirty work and score the basketball that way. So if you don't have that on your team, like consistently, like a Michael Porter Jr. who can create for himself, his weird one dribble jack up threes, or that anti swing that he does, where you assume he's going to swing the ball, and the right play, everybody on the defense, everybody in the stands, every coach, every player in there is expecting you to swing it. He is not going to swing it, and that's going to be something that he does and he's good at. And I think is I don't want to say a skill within itself, but it works for him. For some reason, people don't expect him to just to jack that three, and he's been jacking it. So yeah, I mean, I think he could work. I think that's a nice pickup for the Warriors. I think that Jimmy Butler would welcome that to the team. Draymond Green would welcome that to the team, so they could not have to worry as much on the offensive end and sort of have that Splash Bros-esque team back again. Steph and Klay Thompson, but this time Steph and Michael Porter Jr. That's if Michael Porter Jr. can fall in line and hit the shots. That was a lot of rambling there, but that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. I'll see you guys next video. Peace.